husband's affair partner showed up at my house saying they'd been together with a daughter and she's pregnant again. So I told our kids and his parents about his secret family before he begged for another chance. For a couple of weeks, my husband has been acting very weirdly, but I didn't think much of it because we have been together for almost a decade now and we've been in love. Everything is fine, so I never thought I had any reason to be suspicious of him. We started dating 10 years ago, we've been married for 8 years and have 2 children together, a 6-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son. Our families get along well, we are financially stable and basically, there is no conflict at all. I thought our lives were really good, but I guess it was not good enough for him because recently, I found out that he has been having an affair for the past 6 years and has a whole other family in another state. Not only that, he has apparently been promising this other woman that he's going to leave me for almost 6 years, and a few days ago, she decided to come meet me and talk to me about it. My husband, let's call him Gavin, needs to travel a lot for his job, so I've never suspected it when he has to go away for a few weekends every month. But recently, he started traveling a lot more. He would stay away for weeks, and I would hardly hear from him. That's what was suspicious, because even when he was awake, he would constantly stay in touch with me and the kids, and that had changed recently. And when I brought it up with him, he got really upset with me, saying that I was interfering with his work, and it was not cool, so that was another weird thing, but I never imagined that this had anything to do with him cheating. It was literally unthinkable for me, and then, last week, another strange thing happened. I was doing my makeup at the mirror because I was going out with a couple of friends, and my phone was on the bed beside him, and it started buzzing with text notifications, so I asked him to check it because I thought it was my friends asking me something. But he told me that it was just a bunch of spam messages, and deleted all of them, saying that it would start taking up too much space if I did not delete them. It was nothing suspicious, so I let that one go. The next day, he left for work in the morning and never came back, and I still haven't seen him in person. I started getting a little worried when he didn't reply to any of my messages or pick up my calls, so I contacted my in-laws, and he didn't respond to them either. The next day, after 24 hours had passed, I decided to call one of his coworkers and ask about him, and he told me that he did join work that day, but he was working from home. So I knew that he was safe and sound, because he did attend to his work, but he was definitely not working from home, he was just working remotely. I was about to go to the cops, but after speaking to his coworker, I realized that he was not missing, he was just ignoring all of us. I started trying to contact him even more desperately, but he did not respond even once. Almost 4 days passed, and nobody heard from him, but he still continued to work remotely, so I knew that he was completely fine. I even tried to get his coworker to put me in touch with him, but he told me that as soon as he called Gavin and told him that I wanted to talk to him, he hung up. So it became clear that he was avoiding me, and I had no idea why, so I was quite miserable. 4 days later, just as I was about to give up and do something very unprofessional, and call the folks at his office and request them to try and put me in touch with him, his affair partner showed up at my house and I got all my answers. This woman, let's call her Helen, showed up in the evening and introduced herself as Gavin's girlfriend. I thought she was joking, but then, she showed me a bunch of pictures of her with Gavin on her phone, and that's how I found out that he had been with her for the past 6 years. They even had a 4-year-old daughter together, and his work did not require him to travel as much as they did, because he went over every month to see them, not for work. Apparently, recently, he had to travel even more because she was getting impatient since she was pregnant once again, and this time, she wanted him to leave me once and for all. They have been fighting about it a lot, and she decided to tell me the truth herself, regardless of the consequences. That's why she had somehow managed to find out my number and text me the other day, but unfortunately, the phone had been in the wrong hands at the time, and I didn't get to see those messages because he deleted it all. And because I didn't reply, she thought that I wasn't going to believe her until she spoke to me in person. She told me that after she sent those texts, and I never got to see them, Gavin showed up the next day to confront her about what she was doing. They had a huge fight about it, she dumped him, and since then, she hasn't heard from him either. And later on, it occurred to her that I might not have seen those texts at all, because he might have deleted them, so she decided to hop onto a flight, come to me and tell me the truth in person. It took me a while to come to terms with the fact that she was telling me the truth, but this was not some huge practical joke, and a little while later, I just asked her to leave because I needed time to process it and she did go away. I had dropped off the kids at my parents' place earlier in the day, because I felt very out of sorts and needed some time to myself, and I'm lucky that I did because I ended up crying hysterically for the next few hours. Then came the anger, and in the heat of the moment, I decided to drive to my parents' place, see my kids, and tell them that their dad had been cheating on mom, so in all probability, their parents were going to be separating. They were too young to understand exactly what was going on, but I didn't care. I was so angry that I told them that their dad had another family in another state, and we had all been lied to for years. They probably didn't understand exactly what was going on, but I was so upset that they got upset and started crying, and I comforted them for a bit, told them everything was going to be fine, and then, when they had calmed down, I decided to drive to my in-laws' place and tell them exactly the same thing as well. Obviously, they understood exactly what was happening, but they refused to believe it, saying that this must be some sort of joke or something, because Gavin loves me, and he would never do anything to hurt us and his family. But I told them about the pictures that Helen had shown me, and I told them that I believed her, given how suspiciously he had been behaving for the past couple of days. They got very upset as well, but I did not wait to see the reaction. I got back into my car and drove back home. And at around midnight, several hours after I had done all of these things, he finally responded to me and started begging for a second chance. He was apologizing to me in his text, but he didn't specify exactly what he was sorry about, so I decided to call him, and he finally picked up this time. He was crying, and he tried to explain things to me, but I didn't even want to give him that chance. I told him straight away that I was never going to forgive him, so he could forget about that, and I was going to file for a divorce, and I was going to make sure that he paid for everything that he had done. And then, I told him that I had already told his parents and also the kids about his truth, and that was going to be his punishment. As soon as I mentioned that I had told the kids, he started acting hysterical, saying that I had no need to do that, and I might never forgive him, but it was not right for me to tell the kids. I didn't care what he believed, so I just hung up after venting, and then I blocked him. But now that the anger has worn off slightly, and I've spoken to my parents as well, they told me that while I hadn't done anything wrong, in telling his parents, it was probably not right to tell the kids, not for his sake, but for their own. And now, I'm feeling kind of guilty about it. Either for telling my children that their father cheated on me and has another family in another state. Update 1. Hey, so it's been 2 weeks since my last update. And first things first, I did feel very guilty about telling my kids the way that I did, because I don't think it was a healthy reaction. It was not for their father's sake that I felt bad, but it was for their own sake because I can't imagine how difficult and uneasy it must have been for them to see me behave like that. If I had been in their place, I probably would have been totally freaked out, so I apologized to them. I tried to make it up to them, and they had already forgotten about it. But they understood that was something going wrong, so they were also very gentle with me, and I'm glad that in spite of being so young, they were still so understanding. My parents told me that after I had left that day, the 2 kids had been pretty out of sorts, and it took them a while to calm them down, because they had realized that something was going wrong between their parents and they seemed very troubled. My parents did not tell me about it until later on, because they knew that I was already going through a lot. They did not want to make me feel guilty, but they did have a serious talk with me later on and told me that it was not okay to react like that, and I had realized that on my own by then as well. So thankfully, I was able to mend the situation pretty quickly, and I don't think that it's going to matter in the next few weeks. Having spoken about that, I feel like I have to mention last week, I filed for divorce. It took me a couple of days to hire the right attorney, but I went with the best choice possible, because I really want to make him regret having done this. The terms of my petition are extremely rigid and I do not want to compromise on that. I do not want to show him any sort of leniency. Of course, it's not like I'm being totally unfair, but I want what I want, and I don't care what anybody else thinks of me. I'm gonna keep the house, the cars, everything else that we have, and as for the settlement, I'm not asking for much there because I don't think he'll be able to afford it. But I'm not budging on the rest, and I'm gonna make sure that I get what I want. As for the kids, it took me a while to decide what I wanted with regards to their situation, because in all honesty, as much as I hate to admit it right now, he had always been a good father to them. The kids love their dad, and I don't think that it will be fair to them to deprive them of a relationship with him. Later on, after they are old enough to figure out stuff on their own, they can decide whether they want to keep in touch with them, and I will not mind it, but for now, I think it's important to at least give it a chance. More importantly, I don't want to be the kind of mother who keeps her kids away from her ex-husband, even if he's a cheater, because to put it simply, I don't want them to grow up and resent me for not even giving their relationship a chance. I don't want to weaponize them, basically, so I'm okay with sharing custody of the kids with him. But he will have to make the arrangements to see them. I'm not going out of my way for him at any point. Anyway, that's what I have decided for now. I think he has already been served, but I don't know for sure, because he hasn't responded yet, and it's not like he can contact me because I have blocked him everywhere. But my in-laws did get in touch with me last week, only to request me to still let them stay in touch with their grandkids, because whatever their son had done, they were ashamed of it, but they were not a part of it. So I told them that I had no intention of keeping their grandkids away from them, because I don't want to punish them for something that they hadn't even been a part of. I respect my in-laws, they have always been very kind to me, and I know that they do not approve of whatever their son has done. That's enough for me. I don't care that they are his parents, as long as they are not supportive of him, I'm fine with them, and honestly, they are nice people. I've also requested them to let me know if their son reaches out to them, and to be the mode of communication between the two of us, in case our lawyers are not available. They have agreed to it, and have promised me that as soon as he contacts them, they are going to let me know. So far, that hasn't happened yet, but I'm being patient for now. The past 2 weeks have been incredibly stressful for me, so I'm really thankful for my parents and in-laws, since they have completely taken over the kids department and are handling the two of them on their own, because I have to deal with my work, with my emotions, and I'm honestly just not in the right state of mind right now. So this sort of help is really appreciated, and I truly hope that Gavin does not drag it out, because I just want all of this to be over ASAP. Update 2. So my last update was last week, and 2 days after I posted, Gavin decided to get back in touch with me again. I had blocked him everywhere, so he decided to show up at our house, and when I refused to let him in, he started begging at the doorstep. He was on his knees, telling me that he was really sorry about everything, and that he had been trying to think of a way to get out of this whole mess for the past couple of weeks. I didn't even want to hear him out, but unfortunately, my curiosity got the better of me, and while he was trying to reason with me from the porch, I just kept listening. He explained to me that after he had seen those texts that Helen had sent me on my phone, he had deleted them and started panicking, so the very next day, he took a flight to her place and tried to reason with her. Apparently, he hadn't been happy with her right from the beginning. He had always treated this whole affair as a mistake. He claimed that he had met her 6 years back, when he was in her hometown, at a conference, since they were in the same line of work. They had hit it off back then, and that's how they had started an affair. He had wanted to end it after a couple of weeks, but by then, she was already pregnant and she insisted on keeping the baby, so he got stuck with the responsibility of staying in her life and he couldn't bring himself to break up with her. He made it sound like he had been baby trapped, but I really didn't buy it. Anyway, this has been going on for 6 years, and lately, he had been trying to break up with her, but she was not willing to let him go, and just out of anger and spite, she decided to text me and tried to ruin our marriage. Then, when she was confronted about it, she decided to break up with him, and apparently, she had also told him that she was going to make sure that she ruined his marriage. After that, he decided to go MIA for a couple of days, because he was panicking, and didn't know what to do. In the meantime, she came over, and she told me everything and it all went down the drain. He told me that he had been a coward since he hadn't been able to tell me the truth, but now, he was ready to leave everything and everyone behind and come back to me, and all he needed was a second chance from me. He told me that he was ready to leave Helen behind forever, and he would never even go back to see his daughter. He would only keep sending the money, and that would be enough because he had had a chat with Helen, and she didn't want anything to do with him anymore either, so she was going to leave him alone and all she needed from him was the money. He said this very bitterly, as if that's not what he had wanted at all, but I was more concerned about other things. I told him immediately that I didn't want him back either, and I found it disgusting that he had found it so easy to say that he would never see his child again. Because whether he liked Helen or not, he couldn't change the fact that their daughter was his flesh and blood. She was his responsibility and he owed it to her to be present there for her as a father. The fact that he had said that he was never going to see her again, so easily, made me question whether I was even doing the right thing by agreeing to have shared custody with him of our own children. And I really meant it. I have nothing against Helen's daughter with Gavin, even though I really hate both of them. The two of them are aware of what they were doing, but unfortunately, their daughter had no idea what had happened, and it would be really unfair to punish her for something like that. She is the only innocent person in this situation, and I'm not a person who likes to play the savior by any means, but in this situation, I feel like I had to say something. And while I still had some influence and control over him, I decided to use it to make him feel guilty and make sure that he did not abandon his other child because that would never make me happy. As a mother, I'm only happy when my kids are happy, and I wouldn't want any other child, especially just a 4-year-old, to suffer through something like that. It was a pretty spur-of-the-moment decision for me to say it, but it seemed to be effective, because he immediately told me that he would do whatever I wanted, but all I had to do was just forgive him and promise to give him another chance. But I told him that that was never going to happen, and if he really loved me, he would just leave me alone now. I told him to go away, agree to the terms of my petition, and let me be peacefully now because I was done with him for good. He started whining and crying at the door, but I told him that I was going to call the cops if he did not get out, and then he finally left. After that, I did not hear from him at all for the next couple of days, until this morning. He had finally responded to the petition, and had agreed to all the terms, and I couldn't have been happier about it. It just means that we will get done with the divorce a lot faster than if he had contested or tried to change anything, and for this one thing, I'm grateful to him. At least he's not making things more difficult for me than he already has. And soon enough, we will be done with the custody arrangements as well. It's still going to take a few weeks for the divorce to come through officially, but I'm fine with waiting because at least I won't have to put myself through mediation or negotiations like I had believed earlier. However, just because he has given up on fighting with me on the divorce, doesn't mean that he has given up on us altogether. A couple of hours ago, I received an email from a very random generated address, and when I started reading it, I instantly realized that it had to be him. He started off by apologizing to me, once again, for everything that he had put me through, for everything that he had put the kids through as well, and said that he regretted it more than anything else in his life. He said that he couldn't have been honest and good to neither me, nor Helen, and he was really deeply ashamed of it. But to make up for it, he was going to try his best to be a good father to all his children, and he hoped that we could at least have a smooth co-parenting experience now and maybe sometime in the future. I would find it in my heart to forgive him for everything that he had done wrong. He also mentioned that since I had told him that if I really loved him, he would leave me alone and not drag out the divorce. He had done exactly that, and he wanted me to know that even when he was with Helen, all he could think about was always me, and he always felt guilty about it. In the end, he told me that he really loved me, he always would, and he was ready to wait for the rest of his life for me to come back, and even if I didn't, he would still continue to love me. I found it to be a very strange email, so after reading it, I decided to mark it as spam, so I wouldn't have to see it again because it just made me feel very uncomfortable. I don't even know what to make of it, to be honest. But whatever, at least he did what I asked of him with the petition, and that's all that matters to me right now. Update 3, I'm officially divorced now, it came through last week, and I'm finally free. We have also finalized the custody arrangement, and like I had said, he is going to have partial custody. He's going to have the kids over every alternate weekend, because the rest of the weekends, he'll have to spend with his daughter with Helen. I'm fine with that, because it means that I get to spend more time with the kids. They are kind of weird around him right now, they don't know what to expect, they don't understand what's happening, but they do realize that their parents are no longer together anymore, and it's very unlikely that they will ever see us together in this lifetime again. Their confusion is heartbreaking, but there is really nothing that I can do. But at least they seem to be happy that they do get to see their father, even though it's a little more rare than it used to be. I guess they will get used to this eventually as well. They are still really young, and they have a long life ahead of them, so this is just a blip on the horizon. As for their grandparents, they have all been very helpful, including my in-laws, who have completely cut their son off, even though I told him that I don't mind it if they continue. Stay in touch with him because all I had ever wanted was for me to stay away from him. I didn't care much about what anyone else did with regards to the relationship with him. But I'm happy that they are so strongly supportive of me that they don't even want to talk to him. And our friends are also aware now of everything that has happened, because I didn't see the point of mincing words and hiding the truth from them. They are also not on speaking terms with him anymore, and that I'm actually very happy about because it just means that I won't have to hear about him from anyone else. I'm pretty relieved that things have come to an end, because the past few months have been very stressful for me. Now, I can finally start adjusting to my new life, and I'm going to start off by taking some time off from work and traveling with my kids. I've already started preparing for a vacation. It's going to be a short one because I have to get back for work, but I'm still going to try and make the most of it. I think it's a well-deserved break. I've earned it after everything that I've been through, and it's going to help me get some perspective and just breathe a little. When I come back, I'm also planning on starting therapy, because I think I really need it. Update 4. Hey, so it has been quite some time since my last update, almost 2 years. But I found out something really funny, and I felt like I had to share it with you guys. You guys might remember the email that I had mentioned in one of my updates, where Gavin had basically said that he was committed to me forever, that he was never going to move on and love me for the rest of his life, and I hadn't taken it seriously. I guess I was right to do so, because just recently, I heard some gossip from a couple of friends, saying that he had gotten engaged last week, and today, he and his new fiancée posted a pregnancy announcement. It's actually pretty hilarious, and I really just hope that he's doing well financially, because otherwise, I don't even know how he's affording to have so many kids and women in his life. Anyway, it's none of my concern as long as my kids are happy and healthy and they seem to be doing well so far. They are not as attached to him as they used to be, but they're still kind and polite to him, and that's good enough for me. After all, I can't expect them to be just as attached to him, given that he only sees him for a couple of weekends every month. Once the new baby is born, I don't even know how he's going to deal with all these kids. But my kids are probably not even going to care that much, so I'm fine with it. We are all doing well. I've still maintained a good relationship with his parents, and they still don't talk to him anymore. My parents have been trying to set me up with some other guys for a while now, but I'm happily single, and right now, being a mother is more important to me than anything else. I've been out on a couple of dates in the past few months, but it hasn't been anything serious, and I'm completely fine with it. It'll happen when it'll happen, and even if it doesn't, I'm still happy.